So like Trigger might talk about this concept all the time. When I think he brought it up in reference to things that men allow in relationships, and when it really becomes a problem, it's perceived dominance, right? So he was saying that he think men would stay as long as there was no threat to their perceived dominance. I think the issue with like Russell Wilson was some of the other men that catch all the slack on the internet, right? Outside of us just not agreeing with the behavior, it's also that there's no perceived dominance, so it belittles them as a man in our eyes. Like they don't seem to be like stand up men. Like Beyonce could walk around naked, but Jay Z so much the man that like shit he allowed it. But it don't seem like the other guys have enough wherewithal or respect within a relationship that they could stop it if they wanted to. Like I believe Jay could stop Beyonce from wearing the clothes if he really wanted to. I don't think KeKe boyfriend can stop her from doing it. Because if he could, he wouldn't have went to the internet. He would have spoke directly to her and put an end to that shit. You know what I'm saying? And but Russ
It's
Wilson,
a power dynamic.
working at gas stations. But Future could be like, man, sit your ass down, and she gonna sit her ass down. And I think we read that energy off of them. So as men, we look at them like y'all you not him. No matter how much money you got, no matter what your position is, you don't elicit from us the response. We like, buddy got his shit together, and that family is intact, or it's moving at the beat of his own drum. It seemed like they either making music together or she leading him. And men in general don't typically tend to respect men who get ran by their women.
Yeah, I want to add something real quick. Something that Ina said. I don't think that it's an issue that women want better after they made mistakes, because we would want you to make more reasonable decisions, right? But I'm gonna use an extreme example to try to make some sense. If you get a felony, you can want to do certain things, but some things come and follow you even though you are doing better. You might not be making the same bad decisions, but some things carry over. The simple fact in the case of Russell Wilson, a lot of people just personally don't like Russell. They think he's a square. They don't think he's that funny. They don't think he's that cool. Women like him because he got money. He seemed respectable and this, that, and the third. But I agree with Marcus that he don't seem like that dude does. His own football teams don't like him either. Like you see how they talk about him and how they dog him and this, that, and the third. Some of them might show him love and respect, but he's made some enemies from men. And then you got his woman out here who had a baby by Future, who got other babies by other women, Future. And then, like the brothers are also saying, like, okay, you can have better, but sometimes how you get better or it judges you. That's the reason why y'all ladies obviously don't know sports references. There are certain people in the NBA, no matter how many rings they got, if they don't get them a certain way, they don't get no respect. A lot of people do not respect people like Kevin Durant because of how he got his rings and who he got his rings with. But they will respect Michael Jordan, even though he had help. That he got 6 rings, he that dog, and he out here getting it. So listen,
So it's
I
kind of like a
agree
good
with
credit thing.
I agree with the women as far as if it's bad behavior, it's bad behavior. I agree. I agree with that 100%.
Go ahead,
However,
Ina.
Yeah. So here's, I guess, like, I hear what you're trying to say, Harrison, and I'm gonna go point by point, right? Here's my contention with your statement, right? When you're talking about felonies, right? Because of the way that people who have felonies are treated in North America, both in the U.S., Canada, and Mexico, it actually causes them to reoffend. We don't treat them with enough grace that they have options to make a better life for themselves without putting themselves in circumstances to reoffend, right? So that further emphasizes my point about people making mistakes and the way they're treated behind that mistake. I get what you're saying and I love the reference. Unfortunately, I think it just proved my point and not necessarily the point that you were trying to make.
Yeah, but if we're making the oh, sorry, I'll let you land.
Thank you.
We're gonna sum this up a little bit. We're gonna keep you. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
no problem. I won't take too long, right? And I am somebody who does understand sports references. So your point about people who are respected for the way they get a ring, I don't know anybody who has more contested rings than what's his name?
Robert Horry.
No, the former Patriots, Tom Brady. Tom Brady has the most contested rings, and yet he is still considered the GOAT. And nobody really, like, people will have conversations about that, and yet he is still respected for each and every single one of those rings, even though the majority of his rings are contested. Sir, I did not interrupt you. I would really appreciate some reciprocity. Thank you. The last thing, right? Like, when we're talking about these situations, we talk about them as if there's some sort of vacuum, as if there isn't all of these other factors that existed. These are human beings with a whole life, right? Especially when we're talking about celebrities, we only see one aspect of their lives. And yet we're applying what we see from them onto regular people, as if those people too don't have these entire lives, that there aren't factors that get into like why these people make the decisions that they do. And instead of trying to guide these people, we sit here and we tell them, you're doing it wrong, you're doing it wrong, you're doing it wrong, and you don't deserve any better. Like, I think it's so ridiculous, because how do people get themselves out of that? If we're going to say you are condemned to these circumstances as if it's a felony, and felons are often recommit, how do we guide people to just do better and be better?
Can I respond after Louise?
Real fast, but y'all got 5 minutes.
Yeah. When we're making this comparison, we have to also understand is that I get your point with inmates, reoffending in society, not given enough grace and things like that. But however, if we're comparing men who do these types of things and the hardship that they go through with society and how they're judged, labeled, and viewed is a lot harsher than what single mothers goes through. There's a safety net there. There's all these social programs. You know what I'm saying? The state will always take care of you. So I mean, there isn't any of these types of incentives or programs for men. So it's really not the same in that regard.
Sir,
but I get the point that you're making.
So are you saying that the state takes care of all single moms?
I said that there are social programs there for women who have children that who need them, and sort of whether it's housing, whether it's food, whatever.
So yeah, but let's just be that comes with a certain income. So if you make over $10,000 a year, you're probably not qualified.
Well, I would like to correct that, because the social programs aren't for the women. It is for the parent with the child. So men also have the option of also utilizing those services if they are the primary parent taking care of that child. Now, whether or not they access them is something different, but it's not just for women. It's for whichever parent has the child and need the additional support.
I mean, I'm 37 years old. I've walked all throughout this country. I have not seen one man on that program.
So you
personally,
I have personally not come across.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Personally, I have. But what I'm saying is, just because you haven't, that doesn't mean that it's not available to them. It's on them to whether or not they take advantage of it. A lot of men don't. So you can't get upset at one group who will take advantage of a system that's available to them to give help with them being a single parent, versus the men who won't take advantage of a system that is there for them. Not only do they may not take advantage of the social services that are available, but a lot of times they won't necessarily take the mom to court for child support. And then, you know what I'm saying? So it's not that those things are not available. It's whether or not that you access those things.
And I'm going to be honest with you, Louise, real fast. I don't know any women, even if they are a single mom, who has access to those. You know why? Because they're just not in my circle. And I'm sure that those men are just not in your circle. So even if they were single fathers, their incomes, because I'm pretty sure you have a circle of friends who are probably just like you, who make the same amount of money as you. So they probably wouldn't be qualified. It's probably safe to say you don't hang around people who will be qualified for those services. Do you understand? You understand what I'm saying?
No, I follow that.